before we reveal shocking happenings, how they look and what they became in 2026. Let's go back and see how far each story really went. The cast of Everybody Hates Chris were once just kids and parents caught in everyday chaos on screen. But what happened after the cameras stopped was never part of the story, because behind the laughter, some quietly rose into massive success and global fame, while others went through long silence, sudden shifts, and unexpected turns no one saw coming. One name reached heights nobody predicted. Another slowly faded after early promise. And one path changed direction so sharply that fans only notice it in hindsight. And the most surprising part? Time didn't just change their faces. It completely reshaped every life connected to this show. So, today we are going to explore the cast, or Everybody Hates Chris. Number 1, Tyler James Williams. Chris Rock, the kid who carried the entire identity of Everybody Hates Chris on his shoulders. Born in 1992, he stepped into the role of Chris at a very young age, and almost overnight became one of the most recognizable child actors on television. Back in 2005, he wasn't just acting, he was Chris, the awkward kid, the outsider, the one constantly pushed around by life in Brooklyn. At that time, it looked like he was just another child star in a sitcom. Nothing more. But what happened after the show ended didn't follow the usual Hollywood pattern. Because while many expected him to fade like most child actors, Tyler's journey took a very different direction. For a while, he almost disappeared from mainstream spotlight, leaving fans wondering if his story in Hollywood was already over. Then, slowly, something shifted. He returned with a completely different energy, taking on roles far removed from his childhood character. More serious, more controlled, more layered. And that comeback didn't just bring him back into Hollywood. It made people realize he was never just the kid from that sitcom. But even that wasn't the full story. Because years later, he reached a level of recognition most child stars never get back again. Proving that the same actor once seen as little Chris had grown into someone completely redefined in the industry. And now, in his early 30s, Tyler James Williams doesn't just look different. He represents how far someone can go when they break away from where they started. Number 2. Terry Crews, the man who played Julius Rock and somehow made every penny-counting moment feel unforgettable. Born in 1968, his path into Hollywood didn't start like most actors at all. Before acting, he came from a completely different world. One built on discipline, pressure, and physical strength. When he joined the show in the mid-2000s, he wasn't just a supporting character. He became the strict but oddly lovable father figure that grounded every episode. At the time, many saw him as just perfect casting for comedy timing and presence. Nothing beyond that. But what came after the sitcom didn't just continue a career. It exploded it in a completely different direction. Because instead of staying in one lane, Terry Crews suddenly started appearing everywhere. Big comedy roles, action films, voice work, TV hosting. His face became impossible to avoid in Hollywood. It was like he didn't just move forward after the show. He expanded into an entirely new level of fame. And behind that rise, there were also moments people don't always talk about openly. Periods where he had to rebuild himself, shift directions, and fight for a second identity beyond just the funny dad from a sitcom. But he did more than survive that transition. He turned it into dominance. Now, in his mid-50s, Terry Crews stands as one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment, proving that the role of Julius Rock was just the beginning, not the peak. Number 3. Tichina Arnold, the powerhouse behind Rochelle Rock, and arguably the reason so many mom moments in the show felt painfully real. Born in 1969, she was already in the industry long before the sitcom ever aired. So when she stepped into Rochelle's shoes, she didn't just play a character. She delivered a personality that felt loud, emotional, strict, funny, and deeply human all at once. During the show's run, she was seen as the ultimate TV mother figure, always shouting, always reacting, always carrying the chaos of the household on her back. At that time, it looked like she had locked into a very specific kind of role in Hollywood. But after the show ended, her path didn't slow down. It shifted in a surprising way. Instead of fading or getting boxed in, she stayed consistently active in television. but in roles that showed a completely different side of her talent. Lighter in some moments, sharper in others, and far more versatile than many people originally expected. But here's where things get more interesting. Because while many actors struggle after their biggest sitcom role, Tichina quietly built a second wave of stability in her career. Something a lot of fans don't even realize when they remember her only as Rochelle. And alongside her acting journey, she also stepped into moments of real-life reinvention, balancing fame, personal challenges, and a long career that kept evolving even when the spotlight wasn't always focused on her. Now in her mid-50s, Tichina Arnold isn't just remembered as a sitcom mom. She's seen as one of those rare actors who managed to stay relevant, respected, and consistently present in an industry where most sitcom fame usually disappears. Number 4. Tequan Richmond. The actor behind Drew Rock, the younger brother who somehow became cooler, taller, and more popular than Chris without even trying. Born in 1992, Tequan quickly became one of the most recognizable young faces on the show. While Chris struggled through awkward moments, Drew often looked like the kid who naturally fit into every situation around him. At the time, many fans expected him to become one of the biggest breakout stars after the sitcom ended. And honestly, for a while it looked like that was exactly where things were heading. After the show, he continued acting and slowly moved into more serious projects. He continued building his career in different spaces, proving that success in Hollywood doesn't always follow the loudest path. And now, in his early 30s, Tequan Richmond looks completely different from the young Drew fans remember from the mid-2000s. Number 5. Imani Hakim, actress who played Tonya, Chris's sharp-tongued little sister who somehow managed to steal scenes no matter how young she was. Born in 1993, she joined Everybody Hates Chris as one of the youngest members of the cast. But her energy made her impossible to ignore. Her sarcastic delivery and constant arguments with Chris became some of the funniest moments in the entire series. Back then, audiences only knew her as the tiny kid constantly causing chaos inside the Rock household. But that image didn't last forever, because as the years passed, fans were shocked watching the little girl from the sitcom suddenly grow into a completely different person almost overnight. And unlike many former child stars who vanished after early fame, Imani quietly kept building a career beyond the shadow of the show. She moved into more mature roles, stepped into completely different genres, and slowly created distance between herself and the character people remembered from childhood. But her transformation wasn't just professional. It was visual too. For many longtime viewers, seeing her in recent years became one of the biggest feel-old moments connected to the entire cast. The same little sister audiences remembered from 2005 is now in her early 30s, and the difference between then and now genuinely shocks fans who haven't seen her in years. Number 6. Vincent Martella, the actor behind Greg Wooliger, Chris's loyal best friend and one of the most relatable characters in the series. Born in 1992, Vincent became known for playing the awkward but hilarious friend who stayed beside Chris through every embarrassing disaster imaginable. His chemistry with the cast helped make many of the show's funniest moments unforgettable. But after the sitcom ended, something unexpected happened. Instead of chasing fame in the same way as many young actors, Vincent quietly built success in a direction many viewers never even noticed at first. While fans remembered him mainly as Greg, another generation ended up knowing his voice more than his face. And that shift changed everything, because behind the scenes, he became connected to one of the biggest animated franchises of the modern era, giving him a level of long-term recognition most sitcom actors never reach. Yet despite that success, many casual fans still have no idea the same actor was once Greg from Everybody Hates Chris. That hidden career evolution is what makes his story so surprising. Now in his early 30s, Vincent Martella looks far removed from the nervous kid audiences watched during the show's original run, proving that some of the biggest transformations happened quietly, without people realizing it until years later. Nearly 20 years later, the cast of Everybody Hates Chris has changed in ways nobody could have imagined back in 2005. This show remains one of the most memorable sitcoms of its generation. So which transformation surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more then and now videos just like this one.